G'day everybody and welcome to an ASR special. This is the third time we've done one of these things and we've had a bit of fun every single time we've done them. It's just a little bit of the build up towards the ASR Enduro Cup. 2 years ago it was the Bathurst 500. That was the only one that we ever did. Then last year we went with an Enduro Cup 3-round series and it actually proved to be a pretty successful formula. So we've brought it back again for 2022 with a little bit of a twist, a couple of different tracks as opposed to the other two that we ran last year. So for you that haven't actually seen my face before, my name's Steve DeVries. I've been the ASR commentator, or the voice, I guess a few people call me, for the better part of the last few years. And as you can see there, I'm a talentless sim racer, but somehow I masquerade as a commentator. That's my little footnote for the evening. The best part about being I guess a sim racing commentator is it's prepared me for real life. It's been some really great experiences commentating in the real world, to the point I was actually commentating just yesterday and the day before with one Lachlan Mansell, believe it or not, up at Winton. And actually he's not a bad bloke to commentate with in real life. He actually turned around to me and said that he enjoyed working with me, and likewise I actually felt I was right at home, pretty much like I've been in the State Series for the last couple of years. But that being said, I'm not alone on this broadcast here tonight. We've got a couple of ASR's finest along for the ride as well. And here they are. On the top of your screen there, you've got Lewis Wedding. And then on the bottom of your screen, you've got Will Devonish. It's a very good evening to both of you gentlemen. Who wants to go first?
I guess it's good to be back. We've done this a few times now, and hopefully we can do a few more.
Wilbur?
Yeah, it is a good evening after all the rain over the weekend, and the last few days. So, yeah, happy to be here.
Yeah, I guess we've all got to feel sort of pretty fortunate, I think, with everything that's gone on. Being up at Winton the last couple of days, I actually got a big chance to see firsthand what that weather is actually like. If I want to be honest with you, it's pretty bad. There was some places I was actually wading through water over a couple of creeks to get in and out of Benalla. It wasn't too bad on my side, but some places I was passing over, the road was literally that far, or the bridges were that far above the swollen waters. It wasn't very pleasant at all. Thankfully, some parts of the country, especially down here in Victoria, start to be receding. So I guess it's pretty timely, Will, that you brought that up, because yeah, we've been pretty lucky, I think, down here through most part of Melbourne, but up in the country, not so fortunate.
Yeah, 100%. Steve and I live close together, and we're frustrated with Thompson's Road being closed and got people not in their houses. So we're pretty fortunate where we are.
And on top of that, not being able to get food and supplies through either is a pretty difficult task as well. So we feel pretty lucky, I guess. Sorry, we feel pretty lucky to be living down here as well. And of course, we say be very thankful for what we've got. And on top of that, we wish everybody that is in all those flood-affected communities all the very best. Hopefully, everything starts to get better pretty soon. It sounds like governments are starting to look after quite a few of the issues that are going on right now. So with a bit of luck, we'll be back to normal pretty soon. Well, it's as we said, it's that time of year. We've got 3 tracks. I guess Bathurst is the primary one that we're looking forward to here, gents, which is the second one on the calendar this year. Last year, it was the 3rd race in the calendar. We had Gold Coast, which preceded that, the Gold Coast 400. We had the Sandown 300 before that one. And then we had the Bathurst 500. It's a little bit of a different order this year, Lewis. We've got Bathurst in the middle and then 2 tracks either side.
Yeah, I know some people are sort of like, oh, you got to finish on Bathurst, but I think just for something different, we have it in the middle this year, and I guess it runs a little bit more akin to how Real Life have done it. I think pretty much from 2016 through to 2019, and then obviously COVID hit, so we haven't had an Enduro Cup since. But it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a different dynamic, obviously running it later in the year, and obviously we've already got a couple of the big names, out for a round. So it really throws up the result of what the series could be. And yeah, everyone's going to be there for the Bathurst, but for the entire thing, it's a pretty open game. There's a number of cars that could win the thing.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I actually think this is probably one of the more wide open ones we've seen for quite some time. Usually you go into Supercars Championship, you go into Enduro Cup last year, you could probably pick 2 or 3 cars that were probably going to be there or thereabouts at the top of the standings. I think, Will, this year, there's probably a good half a dozen, if not maybe 8 cars that could be sort of vying for overall honours, just given the fact that a number of people are going to be missing.
Oh yeah, too easy. Easy. That there's probably 6 or 7 cars in there, and the times in the practice servers show that all these guys are so close together. It's going to be quite interesting, I think.
Well, I guess let's talk a little bit about the tracks, Lewis. So this year we've opted to go with Phillip Island for the 300, which is the opening round. We've got the obvious Bathurst 500, which is the one that everyone's looking forward to. And then the one after that is actually Adelaide, which has been a bit of a car breaker for a number of people in the past. You've only got to take a look at what we've had in some of the supercar rounds there over the years to realise that there's going to be a few people, I think, that are going to find the walls pretty quickly.
Yeah, look, when we ran there last year, it was a demolition derby essentially. I think we ran 2 races, and there weren't many cars that didn't finish without, panel damage, and even some cars with severe damage. There was a bit of controversy with some penalties as well. So now that you throw in that you're going to have 2 different drivers in a car and all that stuff, and then we're also running a modified version of Bathurst where the walls are at turn I think 6 and 7 on the exits. They are where they are in real life prior to the circuit being taken away. So they're right up against the curbs. So it's going to make it even more difficult in that middle sector there, and make it even tougher for the drivers where they can't go and just lean on the car and go straight bouncing over the curbs. Now there's extra wall there, and it's going to make it even more difficult. As well as, this time we're locked into the hard tyre. So it's going to be a very interesting dynamic where you've got hard tyre as well as, street circuit, and it's also the finale of the series as well. So there's a lot to play for, and there's a lot to lose.
Yeah, a lot on the line, I think, and I guess if you're there or thereabouts, that's the bit that I sort of like to look at. If you're there or thereabouts going into Adelaide, it's a risk versus reward element, absolutely of massive magnitude. I think that's probably the best way you can put it, because you don't want to fence the car, but you still might be very, very tight in the fight. I mean, Will, you've probably been in a lot of tight fights in a number of series over the years. Like we saw last year, Enduro Cup came down to 5 points virtually by the time the 3 rounds were completed. So it's such a tight series, anything could happen.
Yeah, 100%. Going back to the track selection, they're fan favourites, so there's a lot of passion in there. A lot of people want to win. And yeah, it's almost like it gets progressively harder. We've got Phillip Island, nice long sweeping turns, lots of runoff. We get moved to Bathurst, which everyone's done a million laps on. And then, yeah, move to Adelaide where all the walls close in on you. So, yeah, it's anyone's ball game.
Yep, I would tend to agree. Actually, it's a good point that you actually raised about winning things there, because that's something we can probably have a bit of a chat now as well. So this year we are going to do something a little bit different compared to what we did last year. We of course had Penrite Oil and Ryco Filters on board for some sponsorship. This year we've elected just to continue with the same sponsors we've had in supercars this year. So CRE Electrical, Beyond Electrical, Smith & Sons Renovations and Extensions, all those guys, they'll be the main sort of sponsors you see out there around the tracks this year, as well as, of course, the Outwall Broadcasting logos and a few other things in between. Last year we had those prize packs that we offered out, and I think a number of people got all their prizes, and very, very happy with what we actually sent out. So, we're very pleased to be able to offer that out to them. Not sure how the Kiwis have gone in New Zealand. If Scott Stancliffe, if you're watching this, I hope you've actually handed out that beautiful car to NZ Snipes that he got for the Community Legend Award from last year. This year we're going to do something a little bit different. We're actually going to offer out some gift vouchers for the winning drivers of each car in the series. So we're going to have some awards for first, second and third overall. So each driver will get a small gift card of their choosing. So what will probably go down the lines of, say, it'll be a $30 gift card for, say, each driver that is in the first place car at the end of the series. There'll be, say, $25 for each driver that's in the second place car in the series, and there'll be a $20 voucher for the third place driver in the car in the series. So that's 6 vouchers total to go out to 6 drivers in the series, and it'll be your choice. So it'll be a case of if one of you wants, say, $30 of Steam credit, one of you wants a $30 JB gift voucher, one of you wants a $25, Target or Coles Myer, whatever you want. That'll be one of the things that we'll do. As long as we can facilitate it, as long as we've got an avenue and a platform to be able to go and get that card for you, then that's what we're going to do. And of course, for our friends across the ditch in New Zealand, there'll be obviously some localised shops and that over there that will work to get sorted for you as well. If it happens to be that over there, one of you happens to be one of the winning drivers, we'll sort that out for you as well in your local currency, obviously as well. Because I know that it's not the difference between the Australian dollar and the New Zealand dollar is not a huge amount. It's usually pretty close. So it's going to be a pretty good looking thing. And that's going to come out of the ASR kitty that we've got put away for all the donations and stuff that come through. So that's coming out of the ASR management funds that we put aside. So just a little something. I know it's not too much, but it's just a little something we thought we'd do this year. There had been a suggestion about whether or not we should run some trophies. The one thing that I sort of worry about is sending things like that interstate and also sending things across to New Zealand as well. I was a bit worried that when that car came up in the prize offerings from Penrite and Ryco, which we were really thankful for, that if it did have to come to Australia, that it would turn up broken. That was my major worry. So I'm actually kind of glad that it stayed in New Zealand at the end of the day. Just guys, before we go into drawing cars, let's just touch on the format real quick. So I haven't got a slide ready for this. This is actually a bit of a thrown together broadcast for the day. But Lewis, let's touch on this one real quick. So Phillip Island, we've got the co-driver sprint as well as qualifying on the Saturday and then the race on Sunday. Bathurst will be obviously qualifying in the shootout Saturday, race on Sunday. And then for Adelaide, the two sets of qualifying on Saturday and then the two sets of the two races on the Sunday. Now, guys, the issue I'm going to have here is I think a few people have been asking about the timings. So here we go. We've confirmed all these timings for you now. The Saturday night sessions, and I didn't mean that now, Saturday night, we're talking Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time here. So you're going to have to adjust your clocks accordingly. You've got 6 p.m. on a Saturday night, official practice will open. At 8 o'clock sharp, Melbourne time, Eastern Daylight Savings Time, we will get stuck into qualifying session or sessions for the night depending on how things go. So you can have a top 10 shootout and the like. In the case of Phillip Island, there will be the co-driver sprint. And then on Sunday, 11 a.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time will open for 2 hours of warm-up prior to the race, or racing if there's more than one race, and we will then get the race underway as quickly as we can shortly after 1 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time. So we'll try and get the warm-up done sort of in the driver's briefing done in the last couple of minutes of warm-up, and within the first sort of 15 minutes after 1 o'clock, we will try and get the race underway. So therefore, in a couple of occasions, Phillip Island, you're probably racing for about 2 hours. Bathurst, of course, is going to be somewhere between 3 and 4, and you've probably got to allow about, sort of 2.5 to 3.5 with the changeover for the two Adelaide races, because there are two there as well. There's been a couple of drivers wondering if they have to be present for all of the Saturday and Sunday sessions. The answer is no. So if you've got somebody that's deliberately going to qualify the car for Bathurst and do the shootout, if they make it through, they don't have to have the second driver present there on the night unless you want the second driver spotting for you, which of course you're more than welcome to do. When it comes to Phillip Island and the co-driver sprint, this has caused a little bit of I wouldn't say a stir, but there's been a few questions over that, especially with a few people missing for Saturday night. The answer to that is if you are a solo driver on the Saturday night of the Phillip Island 300, what will happen is you will miss qualifying, but you'll be able to start the co-driver sprint from the back of the grid, because the co-driver sprint will be what determines the starting grid positions for Sunday's race. So qualifying may or may not be necessarily all that important for people on the front row of the grid. It might be good for them to actually disappear off into the distance after you've handed over to your co-driver, but if you haven't got your co-driver there on the night, you simply just start at the back of qualifying and see how far forward you can get, and then that's your grid position for Sunday's race. So there's actually going to be a little bit of strategy in this as well, with some drivers putting other drivers in the cars to qualify and then seeing how they progress through the field. And some people, guys, will try and qualify or put their best driver in to qualify and then see how their co-driver can do. So, I mean, Lewis, what's your school of thought on that? Would you rather put a slower driver in to qualify and then have the faster driver try and make up the spots, or have the faster driver in and then have the co-driver see if he can hold him off?
Well, I guess it depends with who you've got as your two drivers, and this is sort of the really unique and interesting things with these kinds of endurance racing formats is that when you have these two drivers, I mean, that there could be a massive gulf in class between driver A and driver B. So it is going to throw up all kinds of different options. You're hopeful that you've got two drivers that are very similar on speed, but that's not always possible. So yeah, I mean, from my point of view, Rossi's a pretty handy qualifier, and I can defend pretty well. At least I think I can if I'm not getting fired off. So, maybe Rossi, qualifies and I start, for example. But then again, I mean, Rossi's he's fairly handy in the race, and qualifying, I can pull laps out of the bag sometimes when I've had no pace all day. So it really, it really depends on sort of how you're feeling coming into that night, and then what drivers you have, because if you have two drivers fairly even on speed, you've got more options. While if you have one that's got a lot more speed than the other, it might limit you to just, I guess, sending the fast guy out there to qualify and pray that the slower guy can hold on, or even vice versa, that the faster guy can sort of blaze their way through the field. But being a short sprint race format, and you can pass at Phillip Island, but at the same time, it's as we've seen in the past, it's not always easy. And if if a faster driver gets caught in that, in a field of cars, you could find yourself that car being, caught up in other people's incidents, which we've seen when we've raced there in the past. So you just don't know really. So yeah, it's a interesting format. It's something I enjoyed from Sandown, and yeah, it's going to be an interesting one for Phillip Island.
Will, what's your preference on this one? Would you rather start quali, or would you rather start the sprint?
Well, in my camp, it's going to be a bit different than Lewis and Rossi. We've got two fast drivers compared to two slow drivers, so yeah, I think it'll be a flip of a coin on Saturday. Talking to Termo, he's getting the same speed as I am around Phillip Island, so it really doesn't matter for us. I think it's more along lines who wants to do a longer stint on the Sunday, so yeah, we'll figure it out closer to then.
Yeah, that's a good point. Actually, the stint lengths are the real issue of concern, because there's a minimum number of laps that people are going to have to meet. So when the briefing notes go out, hopefully in the next day or two, then you'll know how long you've got to sort of do a bit of stint planning. I think last year we worked on about a 40% rule as a minimum for drivers to meet the minimum requirements for laps, so we'll be working through those numbers in the next couple of days. All right, I think we built this up long enough, guys. Let's actually get started. Let's draw some numbers. So you've seen this little thing before. Here we go. We've got our pit lane sitting there with garage spots 1 through to 23, and we of course have got the pit exit at the very top there, which is where basically it's where we've always done it from. So we've always gone from pit exit to pit entry in terms of the order of the cars. Now, we have got a couple of guest cars in the pack as well, and we are going to have to populate those cars in between times. So we're probably going to, I guess, slot them somewhere around sort of 12th and 13th. So there's 23 cars that we're going to draw numbers for tonight, and then the other two guest cars will sort of be in the middle. So we're going to make the cutoff here, gents. I think we'll make it at garage number 12 on our running sheet here. So actually what essentially on your screen here is 13th and 14th are going to be the two guest cars that we actually put in there, and then everybody from 13th, 14th will move down one spot. So actually in actual fact what we probably need to do there is just make a little bit of an adjustment, and we'll pop all these up. So we've got 15 through to 23, and then we've got a few others that will move in there along the way if Excel decides to wants to behave itself. There we go. Oh, hang on, it's actually decided it wants to play a bit of funny buggers on me, so we'll say I'll fix that up as we're going along, and we'll work all that out. And you've seen this little camera here before as well. Here we go. We've got our balls that we're going to draw the numbers from, and the way that this worked is you can see there's my hand there. It's actually next door to my desk. I'll give these things a bit of a stir. We'll pull some balls out that have got some numbers on them, Lewis and Will take it in turns to give me a garage number, and we'll plot them on the list. Now, the last little bit of business there, you've got to remember here, Lewis has got a list here because he would have seen in the last couple of days a number of drivers have wanted to share some garages, and that's all fine. There's not a problem with that at all. What we're going to do is, if we happen to draw out cars that are paired in terms of a team, so say for example we've got 2 cars in Kiwi Sim Sports, we've got cars that are paired up in AAR, or drivers that want to share garages with each other or share pit booms with each other, that's fine. If one of those cars comes out, we'll automatically populate the other garage that goes along with it. So it makes it a little bit easier. And then if we pull that car out of the ball pit a little bit later on, then we'll just discard that number because it's already been allocated. You probably think why we're just taking a whole bunch of them out. It's just in terms of the odds and how things are, just to make it a little bit more authentic. So we'll see how we go. All right, gentlemen, let's have at it. Let's get started. Where are we going to start? Do I need to flip a coin, or do I need to decide who's going to go first, or do we need to do some rock, paper, scissors between you two for who wants to go first? Well, Lewis is getting ready to have a drink here,
Well,
Will, so I think that means you're probably going first, is it?
Well, plus, I mean, we're finishing second in the team standings anyway, so I might as well start second here as well.
Oh, there you go. Geez, that's a bit of a dark moment. All right, let's go, Will. Let's pick a garage. Do you want to start, where do you want to start? Do you want to start somewhere down the middle, or do you want to start a bit further at the top? While you're doing that, I'm going to start just refixing up some of these numbers, so we've got everything under control. Where do you want to start?
Let's go lucky number 7.
All right, lucky number 7. All right, so let me finish typing these ones up here. Actually, we are running a little bit out of, a little bit behind time for getting a few things. That happens when you go to Winton. All right, so let's start with lucky number 7. So let's have a draw. I'll give them a bit of a stir. I might have to use 2 hands here, actually. Give them a bit of a mix-up. We've got green and gold because we've got green and gold in the ASR logo. Of course, we've got green and gold in the Enduro Cup livery as well. All right, well, I mentioned one of these, this team a few moments ago. Lucky number 7 is going to car number 55. So that would happen to be, Lewis, I believe, one of the first of the AAR cars for Luke Rosella and Corey McFarlane.
Yeah, so, and they're also tied with car 111 as well. So right in the middle for those guys. I don't believe 55's making the first round at Phillip Island, so old Hans and Lockie, they've got a clear run. They're not going to have to worry if there's safety cars about double stacking, but at least the first round. But those guys have shown some speed throughout the last couple of years, so it's going to be interesting if there are safety cars and they're close together on track, sort of how that plays out.
And will the other car that's in the equation there, that's going to obviously be sharing the pit boom now, is number 111, Hans and Lockie Burke, who were kind of the underdogs. I think they got the underdog award last year. They sort of surprised everybody how quick they were, and I think they were closing in on the back of, was it yourself? And at the end of that last sort of run at Bathurst for the 500, they were really bearing down you with a couple of laps to go.
It was actually the other way around.
Sorry.
They were in third, and yeah, I think we crossed the line with a bumper in it. So yeah, they're a strong team, and like they're pretty competitive between the two of them. They get pretty similar lap times and got similar driving styles. So yeah, you never really know who you're actually racing when you're racing that car.
Yeah, really good pairing. I like your description of that. Yeah, they've got very sort of similar strengths and weaknesses, those guys. So good luck to them. So that's the first of those ones there. So that's how that one's going to work. So they're sharing a pit boom. So the way that it works then, guys, you'll see here garages 7 and 8. Obviously, that's just garage door numbers. That's not pit booms. So these guys will actually share a pit boom together. So that's going to be a little bit of an interesting case coming into Enduro Cup this year. The reason we're doing it this way is because we actually haven't physically got enough garages at all the tracks to be able to make this work. So this is why the call's gone out for people to share booms if you actually want to team up, if you've got team cars or what have you or not. It makes it interesting because there'll be a few people that are sort of sitting in the same Discord as each other and so on and so forth. So it just sort of creates a little bit of a nice atmosphere. All right, let's go again. We'll draw another ball out. Oh, we've got a yellow one this time. We'll see how we go. All right, I know which car number this one is. I know who's behind the wheel of this one. What garage are we going into, please, Lewis?
I reckon we're going to go number 10 here.
We're going to go garage number 10. Okay. Well, let's see what the guys of car number 187 think about garage spot number 10. So car 187 is a number we've seen plenty of times before. It is the father and son duo of Scott and Braxton Stancliffe. So are they paired with anybody, Lewis? That's the important question.
They are. So they're teamed up with the 38 Racing team. So I think that's Bailey Hall
And
and
it's Mark Davey.
Yeah, old Sticks. So
Old Sticks.
it's going to be an interesting car, that one. Obviously, Bailey Hall's been fairly quick in the Dev series, although he's been running the drive rates, so he's been turning them off and finding it difficult without ABS to sort of pick up the braking. But Sticks, we haven't seen him race a supercar, I don't believe, so it'll be interesting to see how he goes. And of course, the two Stancliffs, I think Will was remarking before that Braxton was very quick in the practice session that's just been. So they're going to be a bit of a smoky. If they can just avoid some of the penalties that they've picked up and some of the bad luck, they're going to be a car to look out for.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that one. Will, you want to elaborate a bit further, I guess, on Braxton? He's sort of had a bit of an up and down year, but by the same token, when he's got some pace, he's got some pace.
Yeah, well, both of them have an up and down year. Scott's had to take some time away from the sim. Brax has been chucked in the deep end in supercars, shown some speed, but yeah, shown some mistakes as well. But there's some talent behind Brax. And also, fun fact, this is one of the driver pairings that is not going to do a game swap. They're actually going to swap sims.
Yeah, correct.
In real life.
Yeah, that's right. We're actually going to have a camera on them for the Enduro Cup, and we're going to be able to see them do the driver swaps live in the same fashion that Cheese and NZ Snipes did a number of years ago. I think they might actually be doing the same thing too, because they actually live together. Or at least that's the last I heard, they were still living together. Anyway, let's have another number out of here. All right, Will, you'll go here. Where are we sending the next car?
20.
We're going to go all the way down to garage 20. Okay. So, well, this is a little bit of a sense of irony, Wilbur. You've just allocated your car 15.
That's exactly where we wanted it to be.
So garage number 20 for Will, Devonish and Termo. All right, so that's a very interesting element to this equation. I didn't think I'd be calling that tonight. I didn't think I'd be calling you allocating your own car. So, Lewis, are the guys in car 15 sharing within that pit boom with anybody else?
Yeah, so they're sharing with, I believe it's the CRE Anson Mobile. Let me just double check on my old spreadsheet here.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so that means car number 915.
Yeah, so pretty good looking pair of cars. The 5 minute racing, obviously based off of the 2002 Kmart racing car with some meme sponsors on it. That's not a rip-off of has-beens at all. And then we've got, of course, Coxie, who does a magnificent job with his liveries. And again, yeah, Will and Termo, they're going to be ones to look out for. And even then, like, got Daniel Cox, he's been really impressive, particularly the second half of the season in the Supercars Championship in that car with Cam Rutledge, who's put some pretty good qualifying efforts together. His race pace hasn't quite been there, sort of dropped off a little bit and been bullied in some of the races, but they're going to be, again, another car that can pick up some good results. So that's going to be a strong pit group there.
Yeah, definitely going to be quite a strong pit group. I'm actually sort of quite surprised as to how that's actually turned out. I just took the image down for a few seconds, guys. There was a little bit of a couple of dramas that are just going on behind the scenes just to fix up a few of the graphics there, just with, of course, getting a few things together at short notice. We've had to expand the list. So that's the bit that's just thrown that little bit of the equation out. Well, actually, so I'll fix that in a few seconds' time. We'll draw another ball out. We'll keep this moving. Right, I've got another green number here. Who are we up to? It's Lewis. Your turn, buddy.
I reckon we'll go 17.
All right, with number 17. So garage number 17 is for car number 5. What a sense of irony this is. I cannot believe this. The pair of you have just drawn out your own cars simultaneously. I can't believe this. All right, now the next important thing is, who are you sharing with?
We're not sharing with anyone. So,
oh, wow. So this is the unknown.
It's the first one where we could get another. I guess we would get another non-sharing car. So I would imagine if a team gets pulled out here, it'll get put back in, and at a later point in time, we'd come back to it. I guess I don't know
Yeah.
how that would work.
Well, the chat's exploding. 5 minutes and robbed of the comments that are coming in right now. So that's, I think, probably the first and the last time I think we're going to see what we just saw. That the two men on the stream have just drawn out their own car numbers. That is not, I'm telling you now, that is not scripted in any way whatsoever. I deny all liability. I am looking at the camera while I'm drawing the balls. I do not know which numbers are on what thing. So that's completely an ASR moment. I think we're going to have to call that an ASR moment in time, that Will Devonish and Lewis Wedding just drew their own car numbers in a completely random draw. Yeah, I was about to say Tim Redmond, and here you go, I've just called it exactly the right way. Self-inflicted, gentlemen, is the best method of the madness here. All right.
That was self-inflicted. I didn't pull the ball out.
Well, we get all the time to put our seatbelts on and everything, and exiting the pits. As long as Lewis doesn't diagonal his car like he normally does, he'll be fine.
All right, fair enough. Okay, so we've got another one here in my hand. Will, this one's on you. Where would you like to send this particular one?
Oh, let's go 5.
All right, we're going up the top end of pit lane. Okay, so this is car number... turn it that way, please, Stephen. 21.
So that's the Locky Lock Mobile, or
It
one
is.
of the Locky Lock Racing Mobiles.
One of the Locky Lock Racing Mobiles. So therefore, by that particular logic, Lewis, I would deduce that they are sharing with car 237.
That is correct. So what we have is Taipan and Justin Cecil in the 21, although we're not entirely sure on if Taipan's making it from what we've been hearing. So that is that could possibly change. And then, of course, we have the Ben Hall and Locky Lock car, which, again, Ben Hall's been very quick and Locky Lock's leading the Development Series Championship. So, again, that's a car to look out for. But consistency, when we have seen those guys race in the big leagues, has been a little bit of a concern for them. So hopefully they can clean that up. But they're going to be a quick car, and they're going to concern some cars out there.
Yeah, I think you're not wrong. And well, we know Ben Hall's had some time out of the sim as of late as well. That's the one part of the equation we do know, is that he has had some time off for his own health's sake. He's had a bit of a rough trot in the last couple of months, and I do hope we see him in the Enduro Cup a bit later on this week, getting some practice in and just seeing how quickly he can get back up to speed. But having Locky Lock under his tutelage, I guess, as well, and being able to keep him under sort of, on the straight and narrow, hopefully he'll be all set to go. All right, we'll draw another number out while these guys are sitting there waiting for it. So whose turn are we up to now? Are we back to you, Lewis?
Yeah, back to me.
All right, so
Yeah.
Which garage do you want here?
I reckon we're going 24. We're going right to the back.
Oh, we're going right to the very back. Okay, well, this one I actually just drew car number 237, ironically, out in the same particular thing. So we just drew the team cars out side by side. So we're going to have to pull another one out. So that one's discarded because they've actually already made it all the way up to sharing with their thing. That's the way we're operating here. Okay, so give me that garage again.
We're going to 24, right to the back.
Right to the very back. All right, well, these guys are about to get a little bit, I wouldn't say upset, but it's actually not a bad spot to be, second last one in the lane. Car number, turn it that way, 76. So car number 76 belongs to a fairly new entry, Brandon Dostal and Rob Carr. So they actually came in the last sort of 48 hours or so, while I was still up at Winton, and popped their entry in. They've got the livery in and all. So this one's a bit of an unknown quantity, gentlemen.
Yeah, so Rob Carr, I don't think he's raced with us before. His Discord's name's still white and everything, so he's not, he's just joined. Brendan Dossel, of course, he's been sort of in and out a little bit. Has been around the community, and he did race on the weekend in the ASC 1000. So he's got a bit of experience racing these cars, and it'll be interesting to see how those guys go in this series.
Will, anything I guess you want to add? I guess being a fairly sort of green sort of team as well, this is probably the real unknown. We don't know whether they're going to be sort of mid-pack runners, whether they're going to be up sort of the tail end. We just don't know. This will probably be the real question will probably get answered in about 5 days' time.
Yeah, it's, I actually look forward to having wildcards because and brand new people, you don't know how they're going to race, so you're sort of a bit more antsy around them, and makes it all a bit more exciting. So it'd be good to see him out there.
Now, importantly, Lewis, were they marked to share with anybody?
No, so they're on
Okay.
their own, and yeah, someone else is going to have to get drawn out alongside them.
All right. So let's go back to our draw then. I was having to navigate a few things here. All right. So who are we up to next, gentlemen? Is it back to Will here?
I believe so.
All right.
Or is it? No, it is me, isn't
Is
it?
it you? No, you said we were going all the way to the back.
Oh
That's
yeah,
right.
yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Will?
I want to pull the bullet, pull the trigger. Go to number 1.
All right. So number 1, you have just drawn for car number 23. So which is the APK Sim Sports machine, I believe. Yes, it is. So what a way to draw this one out. So trigger and gone early. And I guess 2 known quantities this time, from 2 unknown quantities to 2 known quantities. One who's taken over the defensive mantle from me, and the other one who's got a bit of turn of pace when he turns it on. I mean, he's a former winner at Townsville in the development series a couple of years ago. He's a regular top 10 runner when on his day, Matt Cecil.
Yeah, he's got some on his day. He's been pretty solid. He's been a little bit up and down in the Dev Series this year, but yeah, with Kempy there, I think they'll be pretty solid hand in the midfield, and they're of course sharing with C7 Motorsport powered by CRE, so it's Dane Liccardo and Steve Burko, which
735 machine.
that's a pretty handy car, that one. Dane has been obviously, he has had his troubles, but he's been pretty quick as well. So both those cars could find themselves well, they're right up the pointy end of the pit lane, but it could be awkward come safety car time, because they could be sharing that pit, that pit box when they need to pit under a safety car. So that'll be interesting.
Tell you what, the comments are already coming in here from Rossi. How are we meant to pass this out of pit lane when Kempy is leading the pit lane? Will, do you want to care to answer that one?
No, not really. I haven't actually raced Kemp all that much, so it's all word of mouth from what I've heard with him. But I'm excited for that pairing. We've got Matt, who's starting to get some real world experience, and then we've also got Dane and Steve, who I really love that pairing. I think that one is going to be a real wild card and a real dark horse in the whole Enduro event.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth there. Dark horse is probably the word I'd use for that as well. That you got a very, very quick qualifier in Dane Liccardo and a really good, solid, pilot in Steve Burko backing him up as well, and also to be able to keep him on the straight and narrow, keep him under control, keep him cool and calm in the heat of the battle. I actually like that pair. I think that's a possible top 3 pairing if on their day, if they've got get a good run going and have a good series. All right, back to Lewis. Let's keep rolling with this one. We're starting to get a few less balls in here now. Another yellow one.
I reckon we go number 15 here.
All right, number 15. Now, I'm not sure if this car is sharing with one or not. I know who this one is. Car number 26. This is another one of the father and son pairing. So this is Noah and Greg Turra. All right, gentlemen, have at it. We know these guys in GT3 machinery are absolute lightning. They have been in the RF2 series. They have been in the AMS series earlier this year as well. We know that Noah Turra's definitely got pace in the development series supercar. He's substituted a number of times as well, and then Greg substituted a couple of times in the last few years as well in the supercars. So really handy pairing. I like it. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I really like the pairing. It's going to be. I'm hoping they put a camera up and they can switch sims. But yeah, I hate to say it. Noah has learned everything from his dad and decided to go one better, and he's been absolutely smashing it over the last few months. So it'll be great to see him out there. He's really matured as a driver over the last, I'd say, 6 months.
Lewis, we're racing against both Greg and Noah in the GT3 series in RF2. They just seem to be able to adapt. I think that's probably the best word I can call it. They just can adapt to anything that's there, and they're always, top 3 material every day of the week, just about in GT3. But supercars, different beast, but, does the pace translate?
Well, we've seen Noah substitute with CRE, I think, and a couple of other teams and even just in the guest car throughout the year, as well as being in Dev Series, he's been really quick. So for him, I don't think there's any transition for him in a supercar. He's already there as a really solid runner. So I think, when we're seeing Greg's proven in GT3, he's done the odd supercar race, but usually maybe one per year that we've sort of been together as a group. So it's not been too consistent for him in a supercar, but he's still been solid. So that's another one of those cars where, you've got the lead driver that's pretty handy, and you've got a co-driver that's not going to throw it off the road. And like that car, on its day could find itself in a podium position. And with what we've seen with some drivers, missing out, and some cars missing rounds and stuff like that, as we saw in the Enduro Cup last year, you never know. I mean, that car could win a race. It's one of, again, a handful of cars that could win a race with the two drivers that are in that car. But yeah, I'm getting a bit tired of seeing the old Taras. I finally thought, okay, I've beaten Greg a couple of times, and along comes Noah. Now I've got to beat two of them in the RF2 series, and now I've got to beat two of them in the Enduro Cup. So it's going to be tough, but it'll be good to see him out there, and hopefully they're able to give it a good crack, unlike last year, but they weren't able to compete.
Yeah, correct. And I think the other one was the heartbreak story in 2020 when they were in the Mustang at the Bathurst 500 and they blew the engine with sort of about half a dozen laps or something to go. So and they were running in about 4th or 5th place at the time. So they're going to be one to look out for. Now, importantly, were they listed to share with somebody else as well, or are they on their own?
They are on their own, so that's going to make it interesting.
This will make it very interesting because we're going to be kind of careful here when we start pulling balls out of the draw here. Now, we've got some renders as well, very kindly given to us by Nathan Higginson. He's gone and rendered the whole field for us. When we do the final run through, we'll run through and bring up all the renders. So we'll give you an idea of what the cars you're going to be looking at on the grid this year. All right, who are we cycling back to now? I think we're back to you, Will. Yep.
No, I did number one. Oh, well, wait. Yeah, I did number one.
But we just did the...
oh, yeah. Good point.
Good point. It's you. Let's go. Actually, while you mull over the number, we just drew number 111 out of the ball pit, and that's already been allocated, so we know about that one. We'll draw another one.
Yeah, mate.
Which one? Sorry, Will?
3.
Number 3. Car number 127. For position number 3. So now this is a car number I was just trying to remember off the top of my head who it was. Okay, the PBF Academy Young Leopards entry, John McDonald and Brad Severs. So we know about these guys. This is the first time I think they've come together, because previously it was John McDonald, I think, and Ben Hall at the last Enduro Cup, and it was Brad and Rhodey in Commodore last time out as well. So 2 drivers from 2 completely different cars that have come together and forming a pairing. Lewis.
Yeah, and they're also with the PBF Race Engineering as well. So
that's right.
So that's 3 and 4 taken. But yeah, we've seen John McDonald with Zach Ross as well. And we've also, I think we saw Brad Severs. No, he's always been with Rhodey, I believe. I think. But yeah, that's another one where, John McDonald, when he has raced with us at times, has been not too bad. And Brad Severs, I'll be honest, I'm still a bit dark that he wiped out Rossi a little bit in Sandown last year and cost us the Enduro Cup. So, well, I'm dark, but I'm not going to hold it against him, as it was just a mistake. But no, that's going to be an interesting pairing. If John can get some laps under his belt and Brad can do some laps as well, they won't be too bad. They'll be a solid car. So yeah, look out for them. It's a very interesting livery they've got on that car as well. There will be some people that might be able to tell what it is, and there might be some people that have no idea. But it is an interesting one.
It is a very interesting one. I've actually just taken that graphic down for a few seconds as well, because I have got a little bit of drama with the Excel sheet. It actually won't let me register the car that's there, so I will get that sorted in the next few moments. So the other car that we just Lewis just mentioned, that's going actually into that position there, is actually Brenton Foley and Phil Boak. So they are taking up position number 4. So I will sort that out in a few minutes' time, and we'll get that up and running for you. All right, so when we draw those guys out, we've got to be pretty careful. So who's next? Which one of you two is next?
I believe it's me, but
all right.
I can't remember what numbers are up. So
all right, so I just pulled out 735, so that one's gone over in the corner because that one's already been allocated.
Still got a number.
This
of
one's
the-
also been allocated as well. We just saw that one allocated, 046, because that's the one we were just talking about. So we're starting to eliminate all of the, a lot of the cars now that have been picked out already. This one's been picked out already as well, car 38, because they're of course sharing with the Stancliffs at 9 and 10. So we're starting to narrow these ones down. This one's also been picked. This was the the Cam Rutledge and Daniel Cox machine, number 915. I think the guys were right. I was reading in the chat. It actually pretty much is most of the Kiwi cars that are left. Now, this car I've got in my possession. No, this one hasn't been allocated. Okay, very good.
Which number is it?
I'm telling you. You've got to tell me what garage number we're going to first.
Well, we haven't had. Well, we do have a number of teams, so I'm a bit reluctant to go and say like number 25 or one of the single
All
ones.
right.
So,
Well, let me message you which one this is, because I know we've got a few dramas here, because we might have to actually place this car in a particular spot. Actually, sorry, not that number that I just sent you. It was actually that one. Sorry, you got the wrong one there. Got numbers on the brain. Do we need to place this car somewhere else?
got to find out what car that is actually. So just bear with me. I don't have all the car numbers off the top of the dome here.
We'll try and roll here.
Trying to find it.
Do we need some elevator music here?
Yes, we do need some elevator music.
Oh damn! I didn't have any clips that were actually ready for this one for the elevator music.
Actually, if that's the number, I actually don't think that's in the.
Possibly substitute the first one for a 1 then. Sorry, it might be my handwriting here.
Okay. Yep. If that is the case, let's go on an adventure through the registration thread.
Suspension is killing me. Snipes has got it. This is potentially corruption at work, here, gentlemen.
Okay. No, I know what it is now. Okay. I reckon we go to 22.
All right, corruption in store. All right. This one might seem like it's a bit corrupted, but it's number 158. Okay, so at number 22, because we do have to be a bit careful with some of these now because of how the placings have sorted themselves out. So Ignition Sim Racing. Okay, well this one actually means by fact we're going to position number 22. There is another Ignition car that is in the field here, which I believe, Lewis, is number 85, if memory serves me correctly.
Yep, that's correct.
All right, so we had to place those ones. We actually didn't have a choice. Okay, let's talk about these guys. All 4 of these guys, Lewis, are development series drivers. So let's start with the one that we drew out first, which is Reese McGillivray and Hayden Cuppett.
Well, I've actually been told over the weekend it's actually pronounced Cupid.
Oh, Cupid.
Yeah, no, Reese has come in and he's actually been really solid. So I hate to spill the beans a bit early, but he'll be getting promoted next season from the Super 3 to Super 2 because he's been really solid. He jumped in the first round and was constantly in the top 10 and threatening some of the decent Super 2 drivers. So he's really solid. And Cooper's another one where he's been a little bit inconsistent, but at times he's shown flashes. So that's a solid car. They could definitely pick up some solid results out there. So that's one to look out for. And then of course their teammate Hayden Link and Ryan Smith. They haven't done as much racing, but again, I mean that's a car that hopefully is able to pull together some strong drives and nick some decent results.
Now, Will, I know you haven't sort of had much experience driving with any of these 4 guys that we've just sort of pulled out of the hat here with Link, Smith, McGillivray and Cupid, but I guess you've been keeping an eye on what happens in the development series, and I think the one that stands out for my mind is probably McGillivray. He's been sort of right up there despite the fact he's actually registered and running in Super 3.
Yeah, look, I'll be honest, I haven't watched probably the last round, so a bit behind with the development guys. I've heard of Link and I've heard of McGillivray, so yeah, I've heard they've got some pace behind them, some talent, so that'd be good to see. We are hearing word that they might have some substitutes in those cars over the first few rounds, so yeah, watch this space.
Yeah, watch this space indeed. There are, of course, a few people who are going to have to pair up as well. Actually, that's probably an interesting point that you raise about the substitute situation. So a number of drivers are missing a couple of rounds, and we might have a few cars that are vacant for, or potentially one driver that's missing their driver, or two drivers, for example, in two cars that are one. Guys, if you want to pair up and run in one of the cars, you're more than welcome to do so. It'll probably just be, we'll set something up like an invitational class, so you can actually drive and not miss out on having a bit of fun. All right, who's next out of the which garage are we picking here, guys?
Yeah, well, everyone knows how I like filling a gap, so let's go to 11.
All right, let's go to number 11. So we better find out first whether or not this car is actually sharing with anybody else, because I've got a funny feeling the answer might be no. Lewis, do you want to confirm this for me, please?
No, so that's a single car entry, so that may need to get shuffled around.
Okay, Wilbur, pick one of the single ones, the single gaps that are left. So you got to choose from. You got 16, you got 18, and you got 23.
Let's go 18 then.
All right, so we'll go to number 18 for car number 66. This was another one of the late entrants that came out in the last sort of few days as well. The Vivid Esports entry, Kai Jones and Lachlan Horan, gentlemen. To be fair, haven't done a lot of ASR running, especially in the most recent past. Known quantities, I guess, over at ASC, I think, Lewis. That's probably the only thing that comes to mind for me, is that they've run over there a bit more regularly than they have over at ASR.
Yeah, I've done a little bit of running, but even then, it's not been too consistent. So they'll be a interesting car. Not really sure where they're going to place, but yeah, like there's not really too much to say because I haven't done really. I haven't seen too much of them in the Dev series, because I think Kai raced fairly consistently 2 years ago, and Lachlan, I think he's signed up, but he hasn't done too much running this year. So I haven't seen too much of them, but yeah, hopefully they're able to get out there and have a crack.
Absolutely. So we'll hope that they get out there and have a crack. I know that sort of Kai's been doing a little bit of the rookie series and a few of the social series things as well. So sort of getting, I guess, a bit up to speed on how we operate things here at ASR. Now, what I've done in the last few seconds or so, actually I've gone the wrong way with that one. There's 5 balls left. I actually just went and found the other Ignition sim racing car that was in there, car 85, and took it out. So we've actually got the 5 balls that remain and the 5 cars that we are yet to draw. So we'll do this one again. Let's do another bit of a scoop and pick another one. All right, now this one I know is one of the Kiwi cars. Now, out of the Kiwi cars, Lewis, out of curiosity, the ones that we haven't drawn, are they all paired up? Because I'm looking at the board here trying to work out.
They are all paired up. So I don't know what you've drawn, but I'll go through which are paired up. So on my spreadsheet, I've got the Kiwi Sim Sports Beyond Borders and Kiwi Sim Sports Under Development Squad. They're paired together.
Mm-hmm.
And the Kiwi Sim Sports Team Tanawa and the Kiwi Sim Sports Infinity and Beyond are paired together. Out of the Kiwi Sim Sports cars, they're the ones that are grouped together. And then, of course, we do have the just single Kiwi Sim Sports Stancliffe entry, if you want to call it that, paired with 38 Racing.
Okay, so we might actually have to make a bit of an executive decision here, I think, as well, because we've got 2 pairings that we need to find a home for. It's a bit interesting how this has sort of worked out. We've got garage spots 11 and 12 that are here on the board. And then, of course, we've got 13 and 14, which are gone missing, because that's where our guest cars are going to go. They're going to go straight in the middle. And then we've got a couple of other gaps to fill. So we're going to have to do a little bit of moving and shuffling around here as well. We might actually have to figure this one out. So
shuffle the guest cars down one, and then just
correct. Okay, well if we go with that logic then as well, we'll make a little change here. We'll say so we've got garage spots 11 and 12, and then we've got garage spots 13 and 14. And what we'll then do is we will put those drivers a bit further down the order. So that's what we'll do there, just so we fix this up. This is amazing how we do this. This is live television, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so we're going 11 and 12, 13 and 14. I have drawn one of the cars that is paired up.
Although we are seeing in the chat as well as elsewhere that move Dostal up and put 420 at the back from what I'm seeing. So, but that's giving the people what they want. Do we want to be,
Well, I'm not telling you which one I've drawn, so you need to be telling me here if we're going up to if we're going to be putting this up the top or if we're going to be putting this up the bottom.
Ooh. Now, is it the Snipes car? Because if it's a Snipes car, then I guess we could give them that excuse that, hey, look, I picked it for you, but we had to move you or something. But I do like my I do like the co-commentator, so I'll gamble. I'll gamble on 25.
You're going to gamble on number 25, are you?
Yeah, mate.
Alrighty. Well,
Lock it in.
Lock it in, Eddie.
Lock it in, Eddie. Number 25.
420.
Is he 420 or 422 now? I can't remember.
No, he's not 420.
Oh,
no, you gambled and you lost.
Oh,
you gambled and you lost. Okay, so that. Oh, sorry, not my bad. Whoops. Oh no, I made the bet blue there. Sorry, my bad. No, you gambled and you won. I built the suspense up a little bit. There you go. All right, so Cheese and Snipes actually got garage number 25. So actually, what that means is we probably should actually make a garage 26. We'll actually expand that one a little bit, I think, as well. We'll have to figure that one out for the order. But there we go. Cheese and NZ Snipes. They end up getting the last one in pit lane. So we'll cycle back and have a bit of a chat. So we know these guys do both. Cheese does both series, the development and the supercars. Snipes just does the one. These days with the Donut King liveried cars, but they've gone and gone over to the Holden Brigade here for this one, Lewis. So again, another one of the driver pairings that's probably going to be doing a live swap, from what we understand.
Yeah, I think they've been doing it, and they've done it the last few years. They've been able to do it together. Of course, when I do commentate, I can often hear a little bit of rattling off in the background and cheese coming from Snipes' microphone. So. Yeah, they live in the same house, so another one of the pairings that could do a live swap. They don't have to worry about changing drivers, which could be an interesting dynamic because it does take a little bit of time to change drivers in a pit stops in the game, I believe. So it could be an advantage for them, but I think they're one of the pairings that are just out there to just go out there, have a crack, have a laugh, have a bit of fun. And I have to say, the number of the Kiwi Sim Sports liveries I'm quite a big fan of, so it's just going to be a good car to see out there on the racetrack. They've done a really good job. I think Lockie Lock did one of them, and then I think the other two, or did two of them, and then Higo did the other two. So they're a really good looking crew, and going to be good to see them out there on the racetrack.
All right. Well, we've got a couple more left here, Will. So there's only four machines left to draw. Which one do you want to allocate the garages to next?
I'll go with what I said last time, 11.
We're going to go for 11 this time. Okay, so pick another one out. All right, this one is going to be for car number... God, I'm getting this wrong tonight. Car 56 is going to go into position number 11.
So that's Peter Thrower and Freakish in the Ford Mustang for Kiwi Sim Sports.
That is indeed the Ford Mustang. Now, I think you said that they were also paired with another one of the cars there as well, correct?
Yeah, they're with Team Tanawa.
All right, so Team Tanawa is for car number...
That's the 420 car, so that could be counted, I guess, because Snipes wants to be at the back and be a bit of a rebel.
Yep.
I guess we could put that as a single entry. It's going to make the last of this a bit of a mess, but I guess we'll have to sort our way through it.
All right, yeah, this is a little bit messy, and as I said, guys, I do apologise for putting all this stuff together at short notice. This is what we call live tally. So we have got, so 56 and 420 are together, and then the other pairing, I guess that sort of means if I need to go and find that particular car, well, it means that realistically, if they are paired with car number 420, I need to go and find that one that's actually in the thing. Actually, 420, I think you've got to work this one out. 420 is down the bottom here, isn't it? That's what's on your sheet, 56 and 420. We have to move 420 up there, doesn't it? Yes.
Yes, so... But I guess they requested to be down there at the bottom, so I guess what we could... You could move the 76 up to 23 and then squeeze...
Well, we'll have to work it. We'll have to work it. We'll have to work it this way. We'll probably have to put, I'd say, the 56 actually down with the guys that are at the back, and we'll just have to make a room in the middle. So that means essentially 11 and 12 we'll take 11 and 12 out of the equation here. And we'll put these guys down here with the team number 56, because they're sharing down there as well. So that means that essentially 11 and 12 are now going to remain our 2 bays for the team that is the guest cars. So essentially it's almost right in the middle. So we'll leave that one alone, and we'll come back to that one in a few minutes' time. So that really means there's only a handful of machines left that we can only draw for this one of which is in my hand right about now. Whose turn are we up to? Who's drawing the number here, guys? I think was it you, Lewis, this time, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it's me. I reckon we'll go with the best 23, and this is going to annoy a lot of people. It's LeBron James, not Michael Jordan. Oh, hold no. Yeah, we'll go with 23.
All right, we're going to go with 23. So we've got car 50s going into position number 23 here. So car number 50. Oop, if I can get the thing to cooperate properly. Actually, didn't register me as car 50. What am I doing? Have I got? Did I get something wrong here? Or did I miss another car? No, there it is. So Steve Warwick and Cuz. So again, guys that have raced with us before, and Steve continues to do both the development series and he continues to do supercars as well. So another known driver, and I had to say, I think Steve's been improving, guys. He's been improving over the last sort of 6 to 12 months, and I think even Will, you mentioned, I think it was on the eve of Sydney Motorsport Park, that some of his times that he was doing in practice were up there in top 10 range at one stage.
Yeah, and he's been showing it all year that he's sort of gotten the racecraft now and showing some real good speed. He's had an unlucky start of the year, and I think he's always been pretty quick. Something he lacked was he was quite a passive driver. Now he's a bit more aggressive, and I think we're looking at he sort of needs to meet in the middle now. So we've seen this pairing before, so it'll be good to see him out there. I don't know much about Cuz, but I'm sure I've seen those names together before. I'm sure they know each other quite well. It'll be good to see him.
Yeah, they're good friends as well up there in Sydney. So unsurprising that they're paired up together again. They'll make a good pairing as well. Now, I guess by process of elimination, there's only 2 numbers left, which means that the 2 numbers that I'm going to draw out, and I'll sort this one out for you here, guys. We've got cars number 400 and... Actually, I can get this right. Get it in terms of the camera here. We've got 422 and 430. So they're the ones that are now going to go into the last positions here at positions 13 and 14. So 422, the under development squad of Damo and Luke Yeager, and then of course if we flip down the page to car 430, that's Nathan Higginson and Tim Redmond. So that answers that little question there. So we'll put car 422 over on the side here. We've had to sort of adapt a little bit over the course of time. Gents, let's touch on these 2 really quickly. So both of them are sort of really known quantities. Higginson, I guess, more known for his heavy right foot than his racecraft some days. But surprisingly, he's still up there in the fight for the development series, Lewis.
Yeah, he's I guess just like his driving in a way, he's had a bit of a Jekyll and Hyde kind of season where there's been some weekends where he's been untouchable, and then he'll have to pace the next weekend and just, I don't know, just brain farts, I guess. Makes mistakes and stuff like that. And we've I guess, been a little bit accustomed to it, him getting sideways and just getting, I think it gets a little bit too intense with it. And hopefully Tim is able to sort of be a calming influence over him. And particularly you need it in these dual driver formats. Have your co-driver just be someone to, when you do get that red mist, or when you do get a little bit over anxious or whatever, just to pull you back a little bit. Because he can be fast, as we've seen in the Dev series and on occasion in the main series. It's just more about when to attack and defend, and when to drive at 100% or 10/10 and when to drive at 9/10 and take a step back. So hopefully Tim's able to sort of bring the best out in him, because Tim, you look at the entire field and you look at the Supercars Championship this year, he's been as he's in the top. He'd probably be, the fourth or fifth fastest driver in the field. So, it's a little bit of pressure for Nathan, but hopefully, instead of it being a pressure, he's able to use it as being, as a positive influence, and he's able to improve. So that's, hopefully for him, he can take the next step, and hopefully, he's able to hand over the reins to Tim, and puts it in a decent position for him to contend, because he's going to be one of those guys that, he could win a race, Tim. So yeah, that's going to be one to look out for, provided Nathan is able to just keep it straight, which is a bit difficult for him at times.
It is indeed. Will, talk to us about what it's like racing Tim Redmond, because you and he sort of seem to be fairly well matched at some tracks, and at other tracks it's a little bit more of a different spread. But Tim's definitely been up there in the fight for supercars for the last 2 years, and definitely has a good turn of pace. What's it like racing the man from across the ditch?
Tim and I think in 1 or 2 races we've been in the same chat together, and he's actually absolute pleasure to race with. To the point that we both get a bit too polite on track, and the moment we touch each other, we completely back off, and it's takes some of the fun out of it sometimes. But yeah, he's absolute stellar driver. His consistency is insane, and I'm actually flagging that car is going to be on the podium for Adelaide.
Oh wow, that's a bold call.
I'm going to say that because Higo, as Lewis was saying, if he can focus, he's got the equipment now, and if he can focus, he'll get the car in a good spot, and Tim is dynamite around a street circuit, so I'm calling that one's going to be up the pointy end of the field at the end of the Enduro.
Well, there you go. That's a very, very bold call from Will Devonish after that one there. Well, that's what's left. We've got nothing else to do. That's a water bottle, ladies and gentlemen, so we'll turn the old ball camera off. That is the end of the draw. So I guess at this point in time, we're going to have a bit of a look just at some of the liveries that have come up for this one. So we'll roll through the order as we've actually drawn them now. So I'm going to go off camera for a second here, so you'll hear my voice for the next little bit. So let's pull some of these cars out of the hat here. So the guys that are on the first position here, there's your car number 23. So the car of Kemp and Matt Cecil. That's the car that we came out as sitting in garage spot number 1. And then the next car that we've come to is the number 735, Dane Liccardo. And we're just going to bring these ones up here. They're just taking a little bit of extra time to load on some of these things here. There we go. Nathan Higginson's done a fantastic job getting these images across to us, but there's been a little bit of a short delay getting all these things up. So they're the guys that are in second place on the running order of the garage things there. Third place, that goes to these guys. John McDonald and Brad Severs, the number 127 machine. So interesting looking livery there with the gold, the blue and the white and the red on there as well. So that'd be an interesting car to look out for, the PBF Young Lions team there. And then car 046, that's the next one that comes out. This one's no stranger. We've seen this car a few times before, the Red Bull PBF Race Engineering livery belonging to Phil Boak and Brenton Foley. Next one out of the blocks, that's going to be the number 21 machine, which is the Justin Cecil and Taipan CRE backed entry that's sitting there. So a really good job for those guys. They've got the 5th stall. Then the team that they are actually sharing with, they're sharing with this particular car. We've seen this sponsor a few times as well, the Westside Orthodontics number 237, Lockie Lock and Ben Hall. That's the garage spot number 6. Then we get over to the number 55 machine, which is the first of the AAR cars, which is, I believe, Lewis, has been painted by Luke Rosella. I think, did he paint both the cars?
I believe so. So you can see there's not many curves on it because he doesn't know how to use the pen tool correctly. So every time I know he knows how to use it now, but I'm still going to rip him about that until the end of days.
Absolutely. So we got that's car number 55 there, and then they're of course sharing with car number 111, which of course just got a couple of small touches that are a little bit different, mainly the wing mirrors there. So that's car number 8. Then the next one we've got to get to is the one that's in the 9th spot on the running order, which is going to be the Holden belonging to Mark Davey and Bailey Hall. That's the number
old
38,
Sticks.
I think. The old Sticks, there you go. Similar livery to what Bailey's been running this year in the development series. And then we've got the number 187 machine belonging to Scott and Braxton Stancliffe, which is a bit of a take on their livery that they've got in supercars this year with a couple of different touches. I actually really like the white sitting in with the black, a bit of a different contrast compared to the red and the black that we've seen earlier this year. We've got the Guest Holden and the Guest Ford. They're the next two that are in there. The actual fact, guys, the Guest Holden car is going to be, actually I haven't got it up here, it's going to be the Craig Lowndes and Declan Fraser wildcard car that was in the Bathurst 1000 this year. And then we've got a Shell Dick Johnson Racing Mustang, which is the Guest Ford. Then
Both those painted by community members, by the way. So Brendan Ross painted the 888 and Lockie Lock painted the 17.
There you go. And then we've got car number 430, which is the Nathan Higginson and Tim Redmond machine with the Beyond Electrical on the side. Actually, really good job there, guys. I really like the inset of the Beyond Electrical on the door there. They're, of course, sharing with number 422, which is the Under Development Squad. Damo and Luke Yeager. Just a fairly simple plain livery there, but still quite effective. Looks really nice. I'm looking forward to seeing that one as well.
It was initially meant to be black as well.
Holden is also the weapon of choice for the Turras, and they've gone with the Flinders Autosport machine, which I think Noah actually attends Flinders University over there in South Australia, so they've elected to go with that particular car there. That's the 15th spot. 16th at the moment we've got sitting down as a blank, so we'll come back to that one and figure out. I'll probably get another guest car or something in there. The 17th car, that's this one here, the Team Has-Beens number 5 machine, obviously based around the Kelly Mustang of the last couple of years. Good job, guys. I really like the option you've gone with that one.
The last Kelly car.
The very last Kelly car, indeed. So that's what these guys are going to be piloting in the race on Saturday and Sunday. And then we've got car number 66, which is the next one down from Lewis and Rossi. This one's a little bit of a different look. It's a Monster Energy branded number 66 Holden ZB, and that's in position 18. Then you've got the number 915 machine belonging to Cam Rutledge and Daniel Cox. So a little bit of design cues from Cox's supercar this year, and CRE sponsorship going along with that one as well. And those guys, of course, are sharing with the 5 Minutes Racing pair of Will Devonish and Termo. I like the fact, Will, that you put Egmanus on the door, not Termo, on the window rather. Well done.
That was Rossi.
Oh, that was Rossi.
Rossi.
There you go. Well, Termo, I'm sure, is going to be beating Rossi's door down in the next 5 minutes.
Run,
Rossi. You better get a wriggle on pretty quickly. Next time out of the blocks is the number 85 Ignition Sim Racing machine, the Panorama Graphics backed machine of Hayden Link and Ryan Smith. And it's a very similar livery for the other car as well, with number 158. There you go. So you can see some very, very big similarities between the two cars there as well. Just 3 more cars to go. And then the last one of the, the second last one, 4 cars to go rather. The next Holden to come out, of course, is a car that we've seen a few times before. We've seen this livery pop up on a number of occasions. Same one as last year, with the Warwick and Berenhoiler car, the number 50 for the Blackshaw Smash Repairs and RSM. And they're sitting alongside the Team 76 machine, which is Brandon Dostal and Rob Carr. Bit of a sort of HSV or Toll Dealer Team sort of inspired livery there with a couple of different touches. And then there's just 2 Fords to we've got a Ford and a Holden to go. So the other Holden remaining is car number 420, which is the Transmech machine of NZ Snipes and Cheese, which we've seen a few variants of this livery over the last few years. And then, of course, the last car that's in the grouping there is car 56, belonging to Peter Thrower and Freakish, or in other words, Jake McPherson. And this car is based around the livery that they ran, or Peter Thrower drove, in an endurance race over there in New Zealand in the last few weeks or so. Well, there you go, guys. That's the grid for the 2022 Enduro Cup. Now, there is a short little sub-note, I guess, to this as well. You can see there is a position 16 that is missing from the order there. We did have to withdraw a car quite late in the piece, actually within the last 24 hours, because they haven't been able to commit to the series. That's the
Also had a registration in the last 5 minutes as well. So.
So we'll have to have a bit of a look at that one as well. So there might be still a little bit of moving and shaking to go, but we did pull the number 355 of the Pursuit Sim Racing stable and park that to the side. And if those guys need to come in and run, if they have the time to do so, we'll be giving them a guest car, and that'll come out of the pool that's in the middle there. So we didn't think it was fair to give them a garage in their own right or give them a spot on the grid, considering A, the livery hadn't been submitted, and contacting a bit earlier this afternoon, they weren't 100% sure now if they could make the series. So we've elected to just put that one to the side, and we'll deal with that one as the situation arises, hence the gap that is on the side there. Well, get practicing, guys. That's all I can say. We'll have a little update out a bit later in the week with all the grid groups and all the liveries applied. And so big thank you to the guys on screen there. Lewis, thank you very much for your time. Will, always a pleasure. And looking forward to seeing not only you guys, but everybody else out there on track in a couple of days' time. It's not very far away. See you next time, everybody. Bye for now.